Perfect. Are you recording? Okay, cool. Perfect.
Take
All
the
right.
Jolly Rancher out of your mouth.
Yeah.
You can hear it.
What's on a Jolly Rancher? It's a fucking cough syrup. It's a cock. It's a fucking big dick. Thanks, Des. Appreciate it.
XX Takaki.
XXX Takaki in my mouth. You want to give us a little start off? We're recording. Everything's good.
Oh, we're good. Okay, all right.
I'm gonna give you a fucking. You fucking bitch, dude.
Because I was gonna say, is that how long you last in bed?
Start from 10?
Damn, that was in your head, and you fucking didn't want to say it. That's fucked.
Because they didn't know what I thought. They didn't know what you were talking about.
All right, go.
All right, I'll just start it off. Okay.
Okay.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the first official episode of the Average Bros Fantasy Football Podcast. We're just a couple of average bros with above average fantasy football advice and knowledge. I'm Tyler.
Hey, I'm Anthony.
And I'm Mike. If you're listening to this on SoundCloud, go check us out on YouTube. We have full video and everything. If you also go check out our Instagram, we're posting knowledge on there every single day, pretty much every single day. Also, we have a website, averagebrosfantasyfootball.com. We have complete team breakdowns. We should have that done by the end of next week, which should be the August 10th, August 14th. Should all be done. So go check that stuff out.
Basically, what we're doing here, guys, is we're just taking an in-depth look at teams. We're breaking down the numbers. I mean, men lie, women lie, but men lie, women lie, but the numbers, they don't lie. And what we want to do is we just want to give you all the knowledge that we're getting to help you make the best decisions for your team. You know, ultimately, it's your team. It's fantasy football. You want to have fun. We just want to give you some information to help you maybe make some decisions, maybe between drafting player A, drafting player B, just to help you guys out.
We're here to drop some science.
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 Women lie, men lie. That sounded like a
Sound
Rap
like
lyric.
Like a song we've
men
It is
lie,
a rap
women lie.
lyric.
What's that song? Oh, okay, continue.
Jay-Z
But ultimately, we're here to make this fun and entertaining for you guys. Fantasy football it's meant to be fun. Like when you go and play with your boys and you step into the draft room, you're there talking crap. You're there slamming beers, you're eating wings, whatever you're doing, and this is fun. But when it comes down to it, you want to smack each of your friends and win the league at the end of the day. So we're here to give you that knowledge, that in-depth details that your league mates don't know about going into this draft. You know, your league mates might be having the still same magazines, or they have rankings that are 2 months old, that players aren't even in the same positions or got cut. And we're here to give you that knowledge so you're ahead of the game. So when it comes to the end of the year and you're going into your next draft, you're the one talking crap to the rest of your league mates.
But this episode's gonna be a little bit for more novice people. So we're gonna break down terminology, stuff like that, RB1s, RB2s, what all that means. I don't know if you want to go start it off, Tyler.
I mean, basically, one thing I just want to touch on is like, I mean, every year fantasy football changes. You know, you get players, they go from different teams. You get a bunch of rookies that again get introduced into the league. Coaches change, the schemes for each team changes. So we're just going to look at that, and we're going to help you guys make some good decisions on players. We're going to talk about the roster construction. So obviously, you have your quarterback. You want to draft an RB1, RB2, wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2. Most leagues have flex plays, so that's a running back, wide receiver, or a tight end. And then, you know, your kicker and your defense. You know, don't draft the kicker or defense early. You're going to wait on those.
Go ahead, Mike.
No, I was gonna say it's like I'll be in leagues where people tell me they've been playing for 4 years and they still will draft a quarterback in like the third round. It's crazy to me. Like I mean, I don't know about you guys, but for me, I can't believe when I see stuff like that. Like I don't know, or a kicker or a defense super early. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, one thing you need to pay attention to is the scoring for your league. I mean, that's super important. You want to know what you're getting points for. You know, 4 points for a touchdown thrown or 6 points for a touchdown thrown. I mean, that's a huge difference. If a guy's throwing for 30 touchdowns, it's a big chunk of points right there and difference. So you're gonna want to look at that. You're gonna want to look at PPR. Are you standard? Are you half point PPR? Or are you full point PPR? I mean, all these things are important. Most of the stats that we're going to give you guys are full point PPR. I feel like that's just kind of the normal thing now. Everyone just does full point PPR leagues. Standards just kind of a thing of the past. So this is what we're going to give you guys.
But you can also feel free to email us if you play in a standard league or a half standard league, and you, or even any kind of weird format, maybe a point and a half per tight end. You have certain questions like, hey, what do you guys, feel about player X versus player X versus player X when it comes to, Charles
XXX.
Xavier with the X's.
XXX.
R.I.P.
Tentacion.
And one thing too, I want to make sure we want to make sure you guys understand volume. How much work is this player going to see? It's easier to predict because we're all guessing. We're all predicting what we think is going to happen, but volume equals production. And if we can kind of break down what volume means, when a player is going to touch the ball 300 times versus someone's going to touch the ball 200 times, that's 100 more times with the ball in your hands. And that's something I didn't understand until I started digging deep into fantasy football a year ago. I use this example a lot as I last year wrote Todd Gurley off. I thought he was a bum. He's, Jeff Fisher, blah, blah. He can't carry the ball. He sucks. And then I took a deep look into the stats, and Todd Gurley was going to get the ball 250 to 300 times. That volume, why would I not want to take something like that in the second and third round? And I didn't take him in every single draft, and he finished first in every single draft I didn't take him in.
I mean, ultimately, we just want to give you guys the information that we're finding out. I mean, like I said, we're digging deep. We're looking at a bunch of numbers, a bunch of stats. I mean, we're no experts over here. We're just, like I said, the average bros, and we just want to give you some advice to help you guys win your league.
Yeah, it's ultimately your decision when it comes down to it. We can tell you, oh, Mari Cooper's a sleeper. He's this, that, whatever. But, I mean, if you draft him and it doesn't work out, don't be coming down our throats.
I mean, it's your team.
You got to pull the and like you always say, it's like trust your instinct, trust your gut, and it really is a big thing when you're playing fantasy football.
Yeah, trust your instincts. Go. I mean, it's your team. Fantasy football is supposed to be fun, so you want to have fun with it. I mean, if there's certain players that you like rooting for specifically, so you're going to draft those players, you're going to play those players week in and week out. I mean, go for it. I mean, it's supposed to be fun. We're just here to give you some knowledge to help you maybe make decisions on who to start week in and week out and who to draft when that season comes up.
Yeah, if you love a player, keep loving that player. We just want to give you the in-depth statistics, and so you can even further your love for that player. Or maybe your love for a player might have you reaching too high for that player. You might love, let's just say, Rob Gronkowski. He might be your favorite player of all time. But you don't need to take Rob Gronkowski with the first pick. You can take him in the second round, and let us give you that knowledge so you can take your favorite players when you want to take them. And let us bring some light into the players where, like I touched on earlier, that you don't like, but then when you hear our perspective on stuff, you're like, oh, okay, I didn't understand this about this player. So when everyone else in your league is saying this guy's a bum, Amari Cooper, like we all love him here at this table, and you take him and he ends up with the possibility of being a top 10 wide receiver, you didn't write that player off and you didn't make that mistake because we gave you the statistics and the information, and now you're the one laughing to the championship belt, doing the discount double check over the waist, and your league mates are all...
Rogers.
Hey, get him with the fucking discount double check. Yeah.
So some of the things we're going to talk about, we're going to break down some players before you draft. We're going to tell you certain players we like, certain players we don't like. We're going to go over some volume for certain players. That way you can maybe decide taking player A versus player B because the workload player A is going to get is way more. But, I mean, they're both being drafted in that same tier, same ADP range. We're going to go over some sleepers for the year. We're going to go over some busts, some players that we think that are just getting drafted way too high or probably going to bust. We're going to go over some rookies. We're going to touch on Dynasty a little bit and just tell you some players that you should be picking up if you're in some Dynasty leagues. And then once the season starts, we're going to have the waiver wire episodes every week to tell you who you should pick up and who you should target on the waiver wire. I mean, drafting is important, but the waiver wire is where sometimes it's won and lost at. I mean, if you got to be on top of the waiver wire consistently looking, there's always players that emerge. There's always players that break out. And they're just sitting there on the waiver wire. And some of those players can help you win your league and help you win.
You definitely got to be paying attention week in and week out.
Yeah, we're here to help you avoid those simple mistakes. The reaching too high for a player, the drafting someone at their ceiling, the taking a player for his name, the last season was terrible, so I'm not going to touch that player this year. We're here to help you guys make, like we said, take the player you guys love, but we're here to help you make the most educated decision on the players. Especially when it comes to the 5th, 6th, 7th rounds, it starts becoming a guessing game at that point. But if you know deep about each player in those rounds, and you hit a 5th-round player who ends up being a 2nd-round value, you hit an 8th-round draft pick who ends up being a 4th-round value, your team's going to be stacked, and the rest of your league's going to be looking at you like, well, I don't want to have to go against him this week, or I'm going to be knocked out of the playoffs.
Yeah. Science. Sorry, my brain farted.
Science.
Science.
Episode 1, whenever we get dumbfounded, we just say science.
One thing just to tell everyone, this is the first time we've ever done anything like this. So, I mean, it's going to be some hiccups. It's going to be some ups and downs. We're kind of just having fun with it. We don't want it to be like a traditional podcast where it's very cut and dry, black and white. I mean, we're going to use some
We're gonna hit you
I'm
with
gonna
stats,
say fuck
but we're
a
gonna
lot.
hit you with stats, but we'll hit you with some tats if you know what I'm saying. Maybe some boobs.
So I owe Michael a tat because.
Oh no, I was saying tits weird, but okay.
I was gonna say, I owe you a tattoo though, because I told him that when I win a poker tournament, I would buy him a Bart Simpson tattoo to put on
Hell
his
yeah!
ass.
So maybe I'll put
So
a football on his
we'll
hand.
post that. We'll put that on the Instagram. We'll put that on the YouTube and SoundCloud. I guess you can't
So
SoundCloud the
random.
NAS tattoo.
So,
but
so random.
anyways, back to fantasy.
But yeah, I don't know what else. What else you guys want to?
Well, we can touch
Speak
back
on.
up on knowing your league. Like Tyler said, make sure you know your scoring formats when you're going into a draft. And, if you don't know you're in a PPR league and you take someone, specifically at the running back position, when you're getting into those flex plays, and I'll touch back later on flex plays on RB2s, and you're taking your running back that only going to catch the ball 20 times versus someone who's going to catch the ball 50 times, that's just an extra 2-3 points every week you're missing out on your bench. And those wide receivers like a Larry Fitzgerald who year after year, or Jarvis Landry year after year, a Golden Tate, excellent value every year. When they get those PPRs in the 90, they're on a week-to-week basis. They're not leaving you with the 4 spot in your lineup. You know, the PPR value with some of these guys is something you need to understand. And, if you go into your draft thinking you're just, player X, whatever, but having that understanding of PPR versus non-PPR versus half PPR versus, there's some tight end leagues where you're 1.5 can – just give you on an edge versus someone who doesn't have that.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to explain it? PPR? If people don't know, it's points per reception. I mean, it seems super basic, but like we said, this is kind of like a novice podcast. So, but yeah, points per reception. So every time they get every time they catch the ball, they get a point. Every time they catch the ball, they get a point. So just these little things that add up makes wide receivers' value go up way more versus in a standard league where running backs are just way more important. Although running backs are still important in PPR, it ups the ante for wide receivers. So just like you said, Larry Fitzgerald, last year, Larry Fitzgerald always good. I panic picked him in the 2nd round last year.
That was actually a really good pick.
And then it ended up working out perfect for me. I had him and Tyreek Hill, and they were killing it for me. So so just know if you're in a PPR league.
Yeah, and also know
What
your
it means.
waiver acquisition. There's basically main 2 types. You have either fab or it's priority waivers. And if you're in a fab league, email us with questions. We'll touch on it later. Some of our weekly players to pick up, we'll have fab budgeted into that where, hey, spend 10% of your fab on this player because, you don't want to go in and spend 40% of your fab and then you're left with $60 out of 100 for the rest of the year. So we'll explain some of that to you guys if you guys are new to fab leagues or if you're joining a fab league. I played in fab leagues. I love it. And then we'll also, waiver additions. We'll explain to that. We'll explain the pros and cons of saving your waiver to the week 5, trying to hit someone versus firing off your waivers in the beginning, trying to catch that next Alvin Kamara, trying to catch that next, breakout player. We'll explain that to you guys as the season goes on, and we'll give you, the likelihood of this player taking that route.
I mean, everyone knows when you're drafting. We all know the studs. We know Julio. We know Le'Veon, Antonio Brown. Those first couple of rounds. It's pretty easy to draft a team there. But I mean, when you get in these later rounds, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I mean, that's where, like he was saying, you can find a sleeper. I mean, Anthony was talking about Kamara last year. I didn't even know who Kamara was. And he was talking about this guy, Alvin Kamara. He's going to be good. We should draft him. We do its team together. I had no idea who the guy was. I mean, and the guy just bursted onto the scene, and I mean, he's going to be a top 5, top 10 pick in everyone's league. So, we're just trying to help you find the next Alvin Kamara in a sense, And
one thing we like he said, touched on Kamara is we're going to be here doing the in-depth knowledge, like we said, and we're going to be nitpicking every stat, every coaching, every, we're going to be looking at sleeper bot, who's getting news, who's getting hype. And we're going to be here to try and help you guys find those 9th, 10th round sleepers that have upside. You know, that guy where, hey, if one person goes down, you know, this guy could be a fantasy star. Or this running back's maybe, you know, let's just say like a Royce Freeman. This guy's, if he has a good camp, he's going to be the starter in Denver, where C.J. Anderson low-key ran for over 1,000 yards last year. So we want to give you guys that insight where, you know, you don't have to do all this knowledge. We're doing it for you. You sit in your car, you can have fun, you can listen to us being half retarded but also being half smart at the same time. I guess that's why you can call us average. And yeah.
Yeah, we'll do the science for you. It's no more science for you. We'll do the science. E equals MC draft good players.
Get better.
You know what I'm saying?
And one thing me and Tyler over our years, even before we got into fantasy football, we were really good at is we look at in-depth at the matchups. We look at home and away splits. We look at strength of the defense, strength of the offense. Over-unders, like is this supposed to be, you know, does Vegas say this is going to be a shootout, an over 57 type game, which is going to lead to more passing volume in that game? Does Vegas say this is going to be a 40 and under? I mean, so even if you bet, you can actually use some of our insight to help you at, you know, in the gambling aspect. And we do really take deep dives into wide receiver matchups with cornerbacks, because if your wide receiver 2, like I said, I'll touch on the terminology, is going against a top flight corner, there's a good chance he could be shut down. You might have someone on your bench who's playing a corner who is, I hate to say, no one's a scrub in the NFL, but he's a scrub this weekend. You know, he has a good matchup and he can explode for 7 catches and 120 out of nowhere.
I.e. Amari Cooper last year. And like
Amari
That
Cooper.
was one
against the
matchup I
Chiefs.
did exploit.
Yeah,
Humble brag.
yeah. I mean, Michael Crabtree got shut down by Marcus Peters, and Amari Cooper is just literally wide open the entire game. Had no good game the entire season last year. Shows up with that wide receiver 2 spot, like you were saying.
So now I'll go ahead and touch up on, you know, what an RB1 is when we say that, or if you hear us say RB2, or if you hear us discussing a flex play, or a flex P. So an RB1 is basically, your RB1 is like, they're either 1 through 12. At the end of the season, 1 through 12 is an RB1 finish. So now when we say, hey, this guy is an RB1, this guy is basically what we're saying is this guy is slated to be a top 12 running back week in and week out. And then when you look at the RB2, it's, you know, finishes 12 through 24. So basically when we're saying this guy is an RB2, he's looking to give you production that'll finish him at the end of the season 12 through 24. And then so on and so on. You go into RB3, this guy is going to be, we base it off of 12-team leagues, so every 12 figures that. So if we say someone's a high-end RB2 and a low-end RB1, this is someone who's going to give you that, you know, weekly 7 to 10, maybe low side 12 to 15 production. And then when we discuss flex plays, these are guys where they're in the middle of the road. This is where people need the most help. This is where me and Tyler dig into, you know, matchups, looking at stuff. I mean, everyone knows to start Julio Jones. You're not benching Julio Jones, Michael Thomas, your Alvin Kamara's, but those flex plays, when we say this guy has a solid flex play, you know, we're basically saying, hey, this guy has a good matchup and there's a high possibility he sees a lot of volume, he sees a lot of targets, he sees a lot of carries. And, you know, that's just our terminology. So now that you guys understand that, you can kind of keep up when we say this guy's a flex play, this guy's an RB2, this guy's a high-end RB2, this guy's a flex play with upside, this guy's a safe play. You know, these are just terminology you hear us throw around.
Yeah, like what last year, Lamar Miller, running back 1. What's that Turbo's name?
Turbo's name?
Yeah.
Lamar Miller?
Deontay
The
Foreman.
running back 2. Yeah, Deontay Foreman. You know what I mean? That's like one of almost like a split carry deal. Just to give a better example of RB1 versus RB2.
Yeah, I mean, you're like, so I'll give a good example of someone on if a receiver is a wide receiver 1 and they have a tough matchup that week, you might hear me and Tyler say, hey, he's more of a low end wide receiver 1, high wide receiver 2. And, you know, that'll kind of be like help you just temper your expectations versus just looking at the names.
Yeah, because there's guys that like wide receiver 1s that you have to play every single week. Antonio Brown, guys like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of players you set it and forget it. You leave them in there.
But
There's but let's say that's what we're here for. We're trying to help you find those other players where you can slide them in. You know, mix and match. I mean,
you want to go over any more of the terminology? Know what I'm saying?
So we touched up on most of it. Upside and downside is something you'll hear us say a lot too. You'll hear us say roster construction is something you got to look at when you come to your team. And if you need some upside, especially when it comes to bye weeks, which is to say your top 2 players are on a bye week, you know, you want to take a chance on a player with upside. You want to take a chance on like a Torrey Smith, Ted Ginn, you know, someone who could have a big game, even maybe like a, you know, let's say Antonio Brown has a tough matchup. Let's throw Juju or like James Washington in this week, you know, because they could have a big game. So when you hear us say high upside, it basically means this player has potential to have a big game. Or even an average player, you might hear us say like, you know, a Cooper Kupp. A Cooper Kupp has a money matchup this week. He has high upside this week. He has potential to make up for that ground you're losing by having some of your studs on a bye week.
Cooper Kupp, love him. Value Town.
Town.
We'll talk about it later.
Science.
This is the first time we're ever recording this, so go easy. You know what I'm saying?
As the year goes on, if you guys hear anything you like, hey, you know, can you guys maybe touch more on this? Can you guys, you know, explain your terminology a little better? Can you guys do that? Feel free to reach us out. We're growing, learning, and we're trying to.
Terminology can be confusing when you're first starting out. Definitely, like when I remember the first year I started playing fantasy football, I was all over the place. I didn't know what the hell. And then you know, people were dropping stuff like PPR. The PPR thing confused the hell out of me for like freaking 4 weeks, dude. I was so fucking confused. I was
Is
like,
that why you didn't make the playoffs?
Yeah, probably, man. No, that was like I don't know when it was, but it really can be confusing. But just be patient. You'll hear it over and over again until it's embedded in your brain. When you play fantasy football, it's every week. You're glued to your phone. You can't help it. You'll be on your phone. You'll figure it out. So just be patient. It will come to you. Yeah, little by little.
I mean, ultimately, we're here for you guys. Like I said, we're digging deep into the information, and we just want to help you guys out. There's a lot of interesting stats. When you really get deep into it, you'll find some stats. I've found a bunch of stats that I didn't even know until I started doing this. So now everything that I'm learning, now everything that Anthony's learning, we're giving this information to you guys, and we're saving you all of the time of you know, hours and hours and hours of looking and reading articles and breaking down the numbers and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, my first year, I made the mistake of I would look at wide receiver ones and be like, oh, okay, I play this guy every week, but it wouldn't be a full on wide receiver one. But when we have all these team breakdowns, these things really help you analyze what's going on with the team, like what makes this player actually good, stuff like that. I'm brain farting so hard right now.
Science. And I'm actually piggyback a little bit on what Mike said, but in the same aspect. If you listen to our rankings, you can hear them sometimes. Actually, they speak back to you. But if you look at our rankings, you'll see tier break rankings, or you might even not even look at our rankings. You might just be like, oh, like I have fun at your guys' site, but you know, I'm gonna look at so and so site. You know, we'll help explain what tier breaks are. You know, if you're at the end of the first round and there's 8 running backs in one tier and 5 receivers in another tier, the tiers basically say these players are going to score at a certain level versus where the tier breaks down to the next tier. So just because 8 running backs are gone and you look at the tiers and you might have like a Julio Jones sitting there, a Michael Thomas, your value for that draft pick you're taking at is going to be greater than just panicking and taking like a Jerick McKinnon when you should have taken like a Julio Jones. And that's something where when we break down the tiers, we'll try and help you to avoid that, and you'll understand. And a lot of your average casual fantasy owners are just going to say, oh, crap, everyone's taking a running back. I need a running back. You know, but if you look at the tier value, you might be able to take the 2 top receivers in the draft, or, you know, you might be able to hit on like a, you know, taking a premium wide receiver and coming back and still getting like a Melvin Gordon in the second round. And that's where tier value-based drafting will help you. And especially when you get into those 3rd and 4th rounds, you know, people are going to start making quarterback runs. You're going to see 6 quarterbacks go off the board. And you look at your tier values and you're like, wow, there's still a guy that's going to put up, you know, top 15 wide receiver points there, and you can still get quarterback value later. You know, that's something we'll help explain to you guys.
I'm actually guilty of that. One year I was panicking, and it was either Steven Jackson or Calvin Johnson. And I was like, man, there's no good running backs left. But Calvin Johnson was, like what Anthony was saying, was like far and above in a way better tier than Steven Jackson. So I panicked, and I took Steven Jackson thinking, like, oh, I just need to make sure I get a good running back. And that was the year that Calvin Johnson, like, broke the record and had, like, 1,850
See,
yards.
yeah, and the thing is, too, with that, too, is if you have you could draft 4 extra wide, like, you could have an extra wide receiver and just dump that Calvin Johnson, when he has a couple three good games at the very beginning of the season, dump him. Maybe he only does good in those first 3 games. You dump him, and then you get all of a sudden you get all this value back. Like you said, you get the value. Go for the value. Don't go for what position you need exactly. Just whatever is the most valuable there is almost better when you're drafting. I feel.
No, I agree.
Because I did the same thing with like my first year playing. I picked Lamar Miller because I needed a running back. I think I picked him in like the 2nd round, and it was just stupid. I was the whole time I was like, get this. I remember trading him for like nothing. I was just like, get this dude off my team.
Hey, Lamar Miller, I think has a bounce back year. We'll go over that in a future
solid
episode.
RB2 production potential. That's what we say when we say solid RB2. Lamar Miller is a perfect example where he's not going to be your David Johnson, Ezekiel Elliott, He's equal.
He's equal to a really good running back.
He's equal to a good player.
He's equal to be real good.
He's not going to be that 35-point game, but Lamar Miller is going to a solid RB2. This is a good player to piggyback off of. Is he's going to get you 15 to 20 carries. It might not be the sexiest yards per carry at like 6.2. He's going to have matchups where he's going to get you 15 to 20 carries at 4 to 4.5. So he's going to get you 80 yards in the ground. He's going to get a few catches through the air. Let's say you go over 100 all-purpose yards, and he gets in the end zone. You're looking at 17 to 18 points. That's a solid RB2 week right there. And I mean, depending on the week, you could even score 2 touchdowns in the week, and you get RB1. So that was a perfect example to explain. When we say solid RB2 production.
Definitely, RB2. He's equal. It is science.
Who could touch the ball 400 plus times, by the way?
Basically, don't muff with a kicker or defense till later in the rounds. I know we're talking about novice, and I said this earlier, but dude, you just don't be that guy. You know what I mean? Hey,
Unless you're in my draft.
Hey, yeah, unless you're in a league with us, and for sure be that guy.
Hey, true story though. One of my buddies back in the day, he drafted Steelers defense first round, and we told him, "Bro, they'll be there. Pick someone else."
Add a 0, they'll still be there.
So he got mad and he drafted Tom Brady, and then it came back to him in the 2nd round, and he said Steelers defense again, and we're like, "Bro, they'll be there," and he got so mad. I want fucking Steelers defense. So we're like, "All right." Took Steelers defense
gave
in
it
the
to
2nd
him?
round. Yeah.
He
no
said
longer
Tom
plays
Brady
fantasy football.
first round and Steelers.
Well, I mean,
defense
see,
second
but
round.
here's the thing: he got Tom Brady in the 1st round, and Tom Brady is the fucking GOAT. So it doesn't matter who you draft in the 2nd round because he's got fucking Tom Brady.
Dog, that's disrespectful as a Dolphins fan. Even doing that bit is just fucked up.
God, I hate Tom Brady.
I think you're right. He did sell his soul to the devil, but that's on another level. But
Actually, I'm going to touch on another topic: streaming. You'll hear us say streaming options. So what does streaming mean? Bye weeks, or if you choose to go a route where you're a late round quarterback or you're a late round tight end and they don't pan out. Let's just say you don't get the big 3, the Gronk, the Kelsey, the Ertz, and someone else takes Rudolph, some of these other guys, and you're like, oh crap, I don't know who to take. And you take Jordan Reed and he gets hurt after week 1, or Eifert who gets hurt in preseason. And,
Jesus.
and you're like, you hear us say, hey, this is a good streaming option this week. We're saying this is a good player who has potential this week. It touches up to upside too. He has a good matchup, He has a good matchup. The linebackers don't cover this guy well. If you hear us say streaming quarterback options this week, you get to bye weeks. We're saying, hey, pick this guy up because he's playing a subpar defense, and quarterbacks. Every team's gonna have a quarterback finish in the top 5 every of year. You're gonna have the Jets quarterback finish in the top 5 once. You're gonna have the Dolphins quarterback. I'm using my own division, my own teams, and the Bills. They're all gonna have the quarterback finish in the top 5 once. So there's gonna be weeks where you're on your waiver wire. You're gonna see a guy. Like, let's just use Joe Flacco, where let's just say Joe Flacco's playing the Browns. Let's just beat up on the Browns for fun. And, there's a couple bye weeks, and we're like, hey, Joe Flacco has a good streaming matchup this week because he's playing the Browns, who are a subpar defense, and they're in Baltimore. And, you can get 250 and 2 touchdowns for Joe Flacco, and that's a solid quarterback production, and then worry about the rest of your lineup after that.
Yeah, quarterback streaming is really important. That's why I keep getting at the whole quarterback drafting at the end of the round is because the variance between the best quarterback in the league and the worst quarterback in the league isn't very much. You know what I mean? What was it? Deshaun or not? Yeah,
Mr. Watson.
Yeah, no. I was gonna say Kaiser. Last year he was pretty bad, but it's like he still would get you over 10 points. I
Yeah,
mean,
there's-
all I'm getting at is
I
that
think
like
he was a QB1 over the last like 6 weeks or something weird like that because he rushes the ball.
yeah, exactly. So it's like, so yeah, okay, you couldn't get Aaron Rodgers maybe in the 3rd or 4th round. Okay, cool. You got like best quarterback, but it doesn't add up because I've done it too. I've drafted Aaron Rodgers in the 3rd round, and it's just not worth it. Just save it. Wait, get that.
A strategy that I like to do is I like to draft 2 quarterbacks late, and then I'll just, like Anthony was saying, I'll stream them matchup
Yeah,
based.
exactly.
So for example, like 2 weeks in a row I could play Phillip Rivers, and then maybe 1 week play Alex Smith, and then I'll drop him and I'll pick up Blake Bortles.
Yeah, get those middle of mall
Blake
quarterbacks, bro.
Bortles.
Great Bortles.
Truly, middle of the mall quarterbacks are the way to go.
I
in
mean,
my
touching
opinion.
back to what we said in the podcast too, like if you love Aaron Rodgers, if you're a Packers fan and you're a diehard Rockers fan, Aaron Rodgers fan, take Aaron Rodgers. But one
Just
thing
don't
we'll
blow
explain to
your
you
load.
is don't reach. If you like Aaron Rodgers, I'm actually, depending on your league and settings, I'm okay in the 3rd or 4th round if you go there. But if you go into the 2nd, you're losing your value. So it's kind of about some of these quarterbacks you like understanding where to take them. Just because you're a Packers fan, don't ruin your season because you take Aaron Rodgers at the 110 when you could have had, an Alvin Kamara, Saquon Barkley, and you just lost all that value. Like we preached a little bit earlier, is let us help you understand where to take the players. If someone takes Aaron Rodgers in the 1st round, you're like, oh crap, that sucks. I love Aaron Rodgers, but now I'm getting more value in return because these guys are making mistakes. So, like we said, when you love players, love them, take them because, that's ultimately it's for fun. But let us help you understand the right time to draft these players instead of reaching 3-4 rounds, 2 rounds ahead when you could have got them later on and you could have picked up some more solid starters on your team.
Yeah. We should almost do. I feel like we should almost do. We'll probably end up doing an entire podcast on how the best way to draft and who on top of who to draft.
Yeah, we could
Know what I'm
talk. We
saying?
could touch on like draft strategy.
Yeah.
Who?
Like
What are you,
Who?
motherfucking Al?
Motherfucking owl. Yo, motherfucking owl. Motherfucker, I hurt myself.
How about
Ow.
you let Tyler talk, nerd?
Sorry. Go ahead.
oh no, I was just admiring you.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Science.
Okay. I don't know what else you got. Do you guys want to touch on anything else?
Yeah,
No, I feel
don't
like-
draft a kicker in the first ever rounds.
Literally.
You can.
If
we
you
were
don't
talking
draft a
about
kicker, no-
streaming, you could stream. You could literally stream kickers.
Yeah, I do it all the time. Last year I
There's
drafted.
always a good kicker on the waiver wire.
Dude.
It's crazy.
Last year I drafted Janikowski on all 3 of my fantasy leagues that I was playing in, and that motherfucker got injured in preseason.
Yeah.
Guess what? I had to go stream kickers. Still won all those leagues. Not really, but
Bro, just
almost.
put Tom Brady as your kicker. He's gonna get you some fucking points. I mean,
Yeah,
he's
Tom
the
Brady.
fucking goat. He could fucking throw it, punt, pass, kick, champ. Tom Brady.
Dude, they used to have kickers be quarterbacks. It's so crazy.
So here's an
They were
example
like
of
third string quarterbacks.
one of our home leagues where someone took Justin Tucker in like the 6th round. The value he missed in these rounds was just look at some of the players. Emmanuel Sanders, not bad, but you had Michael
Yeah,
Crabtree in that same round. I mean, that's
Was that
Sorry.
after? Jesus.
yeah, where he could have taken Stephon Diggs in that
Oh
same
my
round.
god.
Pierre Garçon was actually playing well before he got hurt. I mean, Hunter Henry. These are just some of the names I'm looking at. That's what I'm saying. When you take a kicker, you can replace this on the waiver wire, but you're missing a shot at getting a solid starter week in
Yeah,
week
because
out.
you just the point variance is so small
And
between kickers. Even the worst kicker, even that fucking what's his name, Hung Chow, whatever, Yo Chow, what was that dude's
From the
name?
Chargers?
Yeah, the Chargers last
Mr.
year.
Hung Koo.
He
Young-
played like
Young
2
Goku.
games, and I'll still fucking win a league with that guy.
And the same applies to defenses. Like, yes, the Jaguars were a great defense, and we think they're going to be a great defense again, but there is a realistic chance they don't finish the #1 defense again. They do have to play Andrew Luck, who looks to be healthy twice this year. They do have to play Marcus Mariota, who's getting a new coach and should revive this offense. They do have to play Deshaun Watson twice this year. So now if you're wasting that value thinking the Jaguars are going to score, by the way, they scored the top 10 scoring defense over the last decade, which is going to be pretty hard to repeat. So if you're taking the Jaguars as #1 defense in the 6-7 round and they finish 5th, you're losing already value by them finishing 5th. And by the way, defenses, I think there hasn't been a defense to repeat #1 over the last, I can check the stats, but I think it's 7 or 8 years. So if you're drafting that defense right there, you're losing. You're not even taking the #1 defense. You're losing player value. And last year, if you streamed every team that played the Browns, you would have outscored the Jaguars defense by 10 points, who was the number 1 defense. So there's value to be found in these defenses and kickers in the waiver wires. Something we're just trying to get you guys to, notice to where, you could get that next breakout player in the 6th, 7th round, because they're going to happen. Maybe a Jamison Crowder breaks out. Maybe, Dolphins fan, maybe a Devontae Parker breaks out, but those players are going to be there. And when you take a kicker or a defense, you're missing those chances.
I mean, that's just crazy to think that if you would have just played every team that played the Browns, you would have had the best
What a shit organization.
defense in the league.
Jeez.
Sorry, Browns.
But I mean,
fans.
that just shows
crazy.
you that streaming every week, is a possibility, and you don't
There's no such thing as
necessarily need to draft a defense high,
there's no such thing as a Browns fans. It's just Indians fans that stumble into the Browns stadium. Yo, when we were there,
no
how many-
Browns fans are going to listen to us, but I actually had a family member play for the Browns, so we still love you guys.
Yeah, but dude, remember we were at the game. That dude was talking all this crap, and he was wearing an Indians hat. He didn't even have one thing of Browns gear on. I'm like, dude, come on. But anyways, sorry.
Poor Browns fans.
Poor Browns fans. Is it?
Whenever Hugh Jackson goes, you guys will bounce back. You got that roster has talent, so.
I don't know. They got the Steelers offensive coordinator now, so
he's doing
Todd
a pretty good
Haley.
job. He hasn't won a game in 2 years.
he could win. He could win a championship.
It's just
you don't know.
science.
Listen, you don't know.
Science.
Is there any other things you guys want to touch on?
I feel like we might be rambling on.
Yeah, I think we're just rambling on right now.
I mean, 'cause
like I said, we're
almost at
just
40 minutes here.
we're just we're gonna make some mistakes as we go along. It's not gonna be the most organized thing, but fuck it.
Hey, but guess what? If you listen to us, you're gonna win your league guaranteed.
If you don't,
If you don't, we're gonna end up having to murder Tyler's dog. That's what we all voted. You guys all voted, and we came to that was it. So that's a guarantee. If you don't, every single one person that ever listens to this, don't win your podcast, we're gonna murder Tyler's dog.
How are they gonna win?
So pay attention.
good thing no one can win a podcast.
Pay
how
attention.
How are they gonna win a podcast?
No, oh fuck, my words are all confused. But listen, if you guys don't all win your fantasy leagues, you know what I'm saying, dude.
Let's
Listen,
As you guys
and
can't
edit.
tell, Mike needs to get better at life. 'cause he
Okay,
can't win
listen.
at that.
listen. If you guys don't all
Wait,
win
you
your
want to
podcast,
kill a
we're
little
gonna
dog,
no,
bro?
dude. I didn't say this. This is what the people said. This is what all the fans of the podcast are saying.
Oh my!
Of 40
all
fans.
of them. All
How
of them
many
are
fans
saying,
do we have right now?
dude. Dude,
Ceiling
it's
I,
countless.
I think Pups
Ceiling.
might be our only fan.
Yeah, that's fucked up that he suggested that then. So basically win or Pups has gotta go.
And we'll, as the year goes on, me and Tyler and maybe Mike, we'll jump on Facebook Live or Instagram Live and help you guys
Maybe
out.
Mike. What the Okay.
I'm just kidding.
No.
We'll jump on the Instagram Live in the mornings before games, and we'll help you guys out with some roster decisions. We'll give you guys some advice. Who should I start? Who should this? Like, should I pick up this player? Just trying to help you guys out as the weeks goes. That's kind of our main goal for this first year. Is if we can help you guys make smarter decisions, if we can help you guys win on a week, if we can help you guys, make smarter picks, win a week because you didn't know who to start and we gave you good advice and you're like, oh, I like that, and you took that player and inserted in your lineup and you win. That's kind of something we're focusing on for our first year as a podcast.
We're definitely trying to put out a lot of content for you guys. So check everything. We're on Instagram, we're on Twitch, or not on Twitch. Maybe we could stream on Twitch, possibly. We'll see. We'll probably end up starting to stream these podcasts once we get a little bit better at them. But we're gonna be giving out a ton of content. We're gonna do live streams, possibly during games, maybe at Red Zone, live streams where you can listen to us commentate. What are you laughing at over
The thing
there?
about the Red Zone channel,
Yo,
Martellus Bennett, is he a guy?
Is he a guy?
wait, what?
They were watching the Red Zone channel one game, and the guy comes on, and Tom Brady throws a bomb to Martellus Bennett, and the announcer's like, Martellus Bennett, is he a guy? And we look at each other like, what?
Yo, some of those commentaries on there is so whack. See, that's exactly why we'll do a companion maybe. Maybe we'll sync it up for live stream so we can be the Red Zone commentators for you guys, so you don't have to listen to these numbnuts questioning whether or not a football player is a guy or not. So But yeah, check us on Instagram, Average Bros Fantasy Football, Average Bros _ Fantasy Football. All the links are down below and on YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're listening to this on SoundCloud, go ahead and go to our YouTube page. It's just Average Bros Fantasy Football. Yeah, just check us all out. I don't know if you guys want to plug your individual Instagrams. We be posting some silly stuff on our individuals. At least I am. I don't know about you guys.
You can follow me at Anthony Revelis at Instagram. Is that how you say Instagram?
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
much of an Instagrammer.
At Anthony Revelis. No,
Anthony Revelis.
At Anthony Revelis at Instagram.
I'm at Tyler Ravella 777. Jackpot.
And I'm at Jacob Esparza 007.444444440.
/science.
Okay, you guys want to wrap it up there?
Yeah, I'm ready to wrap it up.
Thank you. This has been the Average Bros Fantasy Football Podcast, episode 0.5, episode 1, maybe. I don't know what this is.
Do we have any outro music?
Yeah, here it is. Ready?
Good night.
Good night from Average Bros. Suck me. Dude.